Today I'm going to talk about new music, brand new releases. Two of these records came out within the last week. One came out on Friday. I am talking to you, filming this on Sunday. I want to talk about the night the zombies came. This is the Pixies' latest record. There's a new member. Um, I hesitate to say a revolving door of bass players, hopefully not. But we have now Emma Richardson holding down the bottom end. Kind of a weird decision. They did a die cut, and then you can see the label through there if you are purchasing the record. This is a limited edition crystal and red smoky vinyl. Now, about 4 months ago, there was a mini set the Pixies put out on one of those high quality radio station streams that the sound quality is just amazing. Was it KEXP out of Seattle? It may have been. But they previewed the record and played 4 songs, including a really nice standout track called Chicken. And that's on side one. This is a fine record of great songs. You know, anytime you get Joey Santiago kind of firing on all cylinders and throwing in those kind of sneaky riffs that he has, and sneaky and snaky, different tones, different pedals, it's really good listening. Charles Thompson III is in fine form as far as vocals are concerned, and Emma Richardson really adds quite a bit here. She does a lot of backing vocals. She's from the UK originally. I know she was in another band. It's escaping me right now. But this is the best Pixies new release, kind of Mach 2, Mach 3 Pixies that I've heard in a long time. Produced by Tom Delgatti, their longtime producer out of the UK. I think most of this was recorded in a kind of a cool residential studio in Vermont. They've been doing that. Over the last 3 albums, they'll go and kind of set up shop. They'll come in with their songs and kind of get to work with Tom Delgatti. This is a good record, and let me talk about the sound quality. So there's pretty good dynamic range here for a modern rock record. Again, if you think about the instrumentation, that kind of helps here. You've got Santiago kind of slinging his guitar riffs and rhythm. Charles Thompson mainly on a Martin acoustic, I think, and maybe a Telecaster. Emma Richardson is kind of bopping and weaving. And then you've got, of course, David Lovering and really nice backbeat, snare, some brush work. It all adds up to a really nice listen. This is a clean pressing. I think this was pressed in Germany, this indie version. Mastered in Germany, as far as I can tell, as well. Furnace mastering, if I'm not mistaken. Don't hesitate to pick this up. This is a good record. Really strong sounds, good atmospherics, good soundstage as far as this pressing is concerned, and mastering and mix. Really happy with this. Remember that key word, dynamic range? Let's talk about Songs from a Lost World. This is, of course, the long anticipated new record. You know, Robert Smith has been tinkering with these songs for years. I saw a long interview with him on YouTube, and the BBC kind of album release live set was a 3-hour extravaganza. Check it out if you haven't seen it. The dirty secret here is that Robert Smith is in absolutely fine form as far as his vocals are concerned, and a fine underrated guitar player as well. This album kicks off with a song called Alone, and it is a classic Cure song. This stuff goes back to sound-wise, you're thinking about Disintegration, Blood Flowers, a lot of Disintegration vibes in this record, and this is a downbeat, melancholy record, okay? It's being released, I believe, in 3 different vinyl formats. I got the Bernie Grundman mastering, lacquer cut by Bernie Grundman. You will see BG in the dead wax, just to be sure, and it's the black vinyl variant. Long record, 50 minutes of music on 2 sides. Already you're thinking alarm bells. This is a compressed recording, okay? But it opens itself up. You know, you need to listen to this 2 or 3 times. You need to elevate the volume a little bit. It's a lot of, not a lot of dynamic range, and it's a wall of sound effect. The synths and the keyboards are kind of up front in the mix here, and the mix is the thing. If you're going to point fingers and say, God, I wish it was a little more dynamic, point to the mix. I'm sure Bernie Grundman did the best he could with what he was presented with, that final mix down. But you know what? I've listened to this now 3 times. I've read some reviews as well, and some people are saying, yeah, it really does start to open up a little bit better with higher volume. So I'm doing that, and I will say though that opening track is an absolute classic. Alone, 3 minutes of atmospheric building music as only The Cure can deliver. And we don't have a Robert Smith vocal until 3 minutes in. It's an outstanding track. So is the final track on side 2. They opened their concerts in the U.S., I think all of them last year, that 2023 tour, which is, I was so happy to see, with the track Alone. In that Robert Smith interview, he talked about tinkering after the tour was done last year, and then they went back to Europe, and he actually went back and redid some vocals, and he ended up scrapping the redone vocals and keeping what was originally put down back in 2019. There you have it. That is the long anticipated new release from The Cure. Highly recommended. I mentioned a couple other formats. So there's a clear or a smoky opaque vinyl indie pressing that I think is Miles Scholl. And then apparently there's a 2 LP half-speed mastered that is coming next week from Miles Scholl again. I've been burned on Miles Scholl and half-speed mastered pressings of late. Modern half-speed masterings. So I decided to take a whirl on the Bernie Grundman cut. I am pleased with this. Yes, the mix could have been a little more dynamic. There could have been more accentuation on guitars, let's say. There's plenty of bass here. Like I said, the keys and the synths are really brought forward. The cool thing here, Robert Smith's vocal is dead center in that soundstage, and it's glorious. His voice has never sounded better. And just know that this is a dark Cure record. There's no Friday I'm in Love on this thing, or Mint Car. Anyway, I'm really happy to have this in the collection, and I'm interested to see what people think about the 2 LP. You know, having 50 minutes of music spread across 2 LPs. It sounds appealing, but man, Miles Scholl, what he did with Who's Next, I am not a fan. So there you have it. That is songs from a lost world, The Cure. So what was it? 2 or 3 weeks ago, this kind of popped up in my feed. It's like, Rhino Hi-Fi, Rhino High Fidelity are doing the very nice numbered edition treatment to the debut Stooges record, famously produced by John Cale. And oh my God, does this thing deliver. There is the Obi, of course. I think everyone's familiar with this. I have a numbered pressing, number 797 out of 5,000 for those keeping score at home. Fantastic tip-on Stoughton heavy-duty cover, gloss, full-on gloss. And the recording is simply amazing. There is one page of kind of credits and liner notes, and then we get a nice insert. Anyone who's interested in those original tapes, we have actually very nice photographic evidence here. There is a blurb here about photographing the band that I haven't read yet, and the back side of that tape box. Kevin Gray cut this, mastered this. Let's look at that. Everybody will notice these new labels now, and I think that's actually kind of cool. It kind of distinguishes this pressing. You know that this was a Rhino Hi-Fi high fidelity release. All you need to do is put on track 2, I Want to Be Your Dog, and I mentioned this on Instagram. Ron Ashton's distorted, indelible riff comes blasting out of the right channel, out of the right channel, and just on the edge of distortion with some grit and power driven. This is a glorious treatment on this record. And, if you've been looking, you know that finding an original these days is not easy, and finding something clean is very, very expensive. I mean, $39.99 or whatever the hell this was, $40. This is an absolute no-brainer, ladies and gentlemen. I can't recommend this thing higher. And I put this on. I've got my new to me 1965 Fisher 233 tube amp coming through my Cornwalls, and it is audio bliss. And this thing is caught hot. It's glorious, but you do need volume with this record. I humbly submit. Back to I Want to Be Your Dog. John Cale did that pounding single note piano as that track kind of comes to fruition and fades out in the end. Wonderful photography, of course, from the original cover, and never better produced than you'll see here. What a band. What a statement. What a debut record. The Stooges, the Rhino Hi-Fi version that is numbered, and I would imagine this thing is going to sell out quickly. The good news is, if you do miss that, you will probably have the opportunity just to get a non-numbered edition. They have started to do that with the popular titles. Wow, what a statement this is, and and there's no kind of. I'll let experts who have multiple copies, weigh in on this. I don't think you're going to find some kind of reimagination that was kind of the rap on the television record. This thing, I think, is true to the original intent, the original sound. It's cleaned up a little bit, but there is plenty of overdriven grit and distortion there, which is what you want to hear with this fucking record. The Stooges, Rhino Hi-Fi. That's it for today. I wanted to come out and talk about brand new music, 2 really fine records. The music on Songs from a Lost World, some of Robert Smith's strongest compositions, in my opinion. I don't buy this, you're reading these posts like, oh, it's kind of derivative and it's Blood Flowers and Disintegration Part 2. It's their 14th studio record. Robert Smith is 65 years old. Thank God we still have him in the world and wanting to put things out into the world. Yes, it took time, but was it worth it? Hell yes. Thank you.